Hello, Internet. So, I want to talk today about just the dystopic reality that we have to come to terms with living in this country now. I think a lot of us put a lot of really unrealistic social expectations for an economy that has been and will continue to disintegrate as time goes on. And what I mean by that is people for a long time haven't had the same kind of quality of life and living that their parents knew for a variety of reasons, one of which being like manufacturing, leaving the United States, longer working hours, less time off, a lot of different reasons. And the high cost of living, the stagnant wages, it's what created Donald Trump. And people don't want to address those kinds of problems. They don't want to ask themselves, why was it that Donald Trump was elected in the first place? Nobody's talking about that. You know, nobody's talking about what facilitated a Donald Trump really in the first place, especially not Democrats. They don't want to ask themselves the real hard questions of how was it that, we got a character like Donald Trump. They don't want to ask that. And regardless of who was going to be in office, COVID was going to happen, yes. But because of Donald Trump's failure to address it in a real way, that's where we're at. Biden is like a Band-Aid on a bullet wound. It can only do so much. He's better than totally driving us totally off the cliff, but he's certainly not the solution that we should be facing. And the Democrats still want to fight for this, very, bland policy kind of shit. And it's like the only reason why Joe Biden is even considering going and raising the taxes because of the progressives in the party. But who knows how any of that's going to happen with the kind of conservative opposition that we have going on right now. I mean, shit, if things were bad back when Obama was in office, they sure as hell fucking hate Democrats now more. Everything and in every way, people seem to be walking on eggshells around each other too. You go to places, you talk to people, and it's like being on fucking eggshells around them. You don't know how someone's going to react. And a part of it, I think, is conditioning from the media, as well as the general isolationism people feel in their everyday lives. And that doesn't include just the jobs they have to hold, the bills they have to pay. And it's so overwhelming for the average person. It just generally comes down to the fact that no one really seems to care anymore about one another. There's no sense of social responsibility to one another. I will never forget when people would say to me, who cares? The people who would have caught coronavirus would have died anyway. I won't forget that phrase. So many people, even the most reasonable people, would say these things. And I thought to myself, you sound so psychotic. You sound like you belong in a death cult. Who believes in such shit? We're such a self-centered society. We're such a self-centered people. It's all about me. As long as I get mine, screw the other guy. Who cares if they die or anything like that? And even back when I used to be a protester for Occupy Wall Street, people would be like, oh, well, they may have lost their home, but it doesn't affect me. Until it does affect you, then you care. Until people come to the realization that nobody is exempt from this thing, whether it be the economic effects of COVID or the disease itself, you know, nobody is, pardon the pun, immune from this shit. You know, you are affected in some capacity or another. But everybody thinks they're the exception to the rule. Nobody takes self-accountability. Nobody thinks, what can I do for other people? And that's how you have a real fall of a society. There's no sense of community or belonging to anybody. You know, when the Great Depression happened, people lent on their neighbors. People knocked on each other's door. You know, and I think this is just a byproduct of the kind of culture we have created because of our consumerist society. You are not just what you consume. You are also, well, you're just a consumer. You don't create anything. There's no, like, real agency a person has in their life. You're just sort of stuck in this machine, and you have to operate within this machine in order to survive. You know? People ask, you know, well, why is it that so many people who are younger lean so hard to the left, or hard to the right even? And the reason why is because the system doesn't work anymore for people like me or people younger than me. So I don't blame them. Am I saying it's right? Or I should say, do I think it's correct? Probably not. But our politics are a reflection of the economy we've lived in for years now. You know, it just doesn't work for people like me. You know, when I was 10 years younger, I could hardly find a job. And if I did have a job, the longest it would last would maybe be about 3 years. And that's if you did everything right. Because I work in a service industry kind of economy. / gig economy now. There's a lot of friends I know who work like Uber, Uber Eats, Postmates, things like that. But it's not anything resembling the kind of like a job security that my parents or grandparents knew, where you could work one job for like 40 hours a week and have a solid retirement when you're in old age. And a lot of us have been like that. And this idea of like hustle culture and the rest of it, of why don't you just like work harder and do more? It's like you're putting an unrealistic expectation on somebody that just isn't conducive to the human condition. Most people just want balance, or they need balance. Yes, work is very important, but so is your home life. Like, life should matter. It shouldn't just be like work until you die, you know? But these are just my thoughts. Tell me what you think. Have a good one. Take care. Bye.